Oftentimes our facilities only get used a few times a year. The work that's done is important. How those facilities are designed can either help or hinder your success.
We in the Southeast are small producers. We always have been, we always will be. The average herd size in North Carolina is about 20. The average herd size in the southeastern United States is about 22. So as we talked about handling cattle and having the facilities, a lot of people in the past have never had good working facilities. One of the first things we always tell all the producers is build you a set of good facilities in order to handle your cattle, to sort your cattle, to work your cows and calves. Whatever you're doing with those animals, you need a good facility. It's the first thing you need.
We're at the Jim and Joyce Carpenter farm in Rutherford County, North Carolina. Jim and Joyce run about 55 cows, have about 100 head total. This facility, they run around 700 calves through it each year as part of a marketing alliance. Plus the calves they've been doing that for about 15 years now. This just shows that we just need a basic facility. It doesn't have to be the latest and greatest. We need to have a functional facility that's well thought out. Cattle can be let out both through the head gate as well from the side exit. The latches are things that they've come up with on their own, using their own ingenuity, pieces and parts they had laying around the farm to make something that's functional.
All of our pens and intensive grazing units here all lead to one alleyway, and that alleyway leads to the barn, which has 4 different lots on it and 4 different sorting pens on it. And so it's just a normal routine to bring the cattle in, walk them through the lots in stages, into the sorting area, into the sorting pens. Then we take them out of the sorting pens, either run them through the scales or run them through the working facility a pen at a time. And it's just so simple when you get it all organized. It's easy, it's a lot of time saving, money saving if you have it organized correctly at the beginning.
One thing that's really important is handling small groups. They've been bringing up small groups of cattle. Also notice that this crowd gate's just put here on the first notch. Normally with crowd gates, I just put them on the first notch. I don't push it all the way around the pen. Crowd gate, that's your emergency brake. That you only use that, you only need that animal starts to turn back. Another thing is the crowd pen is a passing through pen. Don't fill this up and make the cattle wait. What you want to do is wait until your chute is almost empty inside, and then you bring them up and they go right on around and right up the chute. Another reason why this tub works really well is it's taking advantage of the cattle's natural tendency to go back to where they came from. You're bringing them in and going around a full half circle. A lot of the smaller tubs work really poorly because they just go straight through. And there's other kinds of systems too that can take advantage of the cattle's natural tendency to come on back. The same thing happens in a bud box system or a return alley system. You put them in there and they turn and they come on back because cattle want to go back to where they came from. Another common mistake that's made in laying out curved systems is where your chute joins your crowd pen, they're bending it too sharply. If you bend it too sharply, it's not going to work. If this flag end is the cow's eyes, she needs to be able to see up there 2 body lengths before it turns. Coming in nice and calm, see passing through pen, you bring them in and there's room in the chute. You know, don't put cattle in the crowd pen until you got room in the chute. That's really important. And that is important, all kinds of designs of crowd pens. You use the same principle at your loading ramp. Get your truck backed up, get all your gates ready, get everything ready, then you bring the cattle up through the crowd pen and right into the truck. Don't have them there stopping. Lighting is very critical in all types of cattle handling facilities. Cattle do not like to go from a bright sunny day like this into a building. One thing that's good here is your single file chute is mostly outside. So you're getting them lined up in single file before they enter the dark building. I've seen a lot of facilities where you have what I call the black cave effect, and they're not going to go in because it's too dark. And in some buildings, what you're going to have to do is take some of the tin off so that they can see light. The absolute worst place to put a building is right where your single file joins your crowd pen, and that's true for all different kinds of systems. You just walk on back by them. Usually just as you walk by the shoulder, the cow is going to go forward. And often that's much more effective than just standing behind them and poke them in the butt. You walk back by them in the opposite direction of desired movement. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it really works. Just try it. But again, do not stand at the head of a cow and poke it on the butt. Then you're telling her to go forward and backward at the same time. You just want to walk on by her. One mistake that people make in a lot of facilities is putting in too many of these anti-backup gates. If cattle are backing up all the time, then you've either got a problem with where people are standing or a problem with the design of the facility. If you have a backup gate right here, that will lots of times make the cattle balk. And what you're going to want to do is hook that up with a remote control rope so that you can stand back there and open up that backstop gate. I now want to address solid sides. You know, there are some advocates of good cattle handling. They say we should take all solid sides off. I don't agree with that, because the most important place to have solid sides is outer perimeters of facilities, especially in places like where there's a lot of cars going by, many ranches. The truck loading ramp is right by the highway. Every time a car goes by, it spooks the cattle. You're definitely going to want to have a solid side so the cattle don't see cars going by on the highway. If you've got a lot of inexperienced people working cattle, I'm going to want to cover up all the sides. If you've got really experienced people that will respect the animal's flight zone, then I would recommend, you know, solid sides on the perimeter, and you can have it open on the inner radius. But people have got to respect the flight zone, because if you got animals rearing up in the chute, they're rearing up in the chute because people are in their flight zone. And when they're rearing up, you need to back up. You need to back up and get out of their flight zone. It's really important in handling facilities to have non-slip flooring. Animals panic when they start to slip. Got to give them a non-slip floor. You can weld steel rods together, but you want to make sure that you weld the rods this way. Don't weld them like this. They'll break their hooves off. You know, grooved concrete, or you can get woven tire mats. But slippery flooring is really bad. Good cattle handling is impossible. Animals are constantly slipping and sliding all around. Also, there's a lot of different designs of things. There's a lot of different opinions on design and handling. But let's look at the thing where everybody can agree: outcomes. The outcome I want is calm animals walking through facilities. They're not bashing into gates. They're not trying to jump out of facilities. It's calm. If an animal bellows right when you squeeze it in a squeeze chute, you're hurting it. If you got cattle falling down when they come out of the squeeze chute, you've either got a slippery floor or they're getting totally crazy. Many times I have said, if you fix the back end, problems up in the squeeze chute will fix themselves. I want a calm animal coming up into that into the squeeze chute. You know, good handling starts back here. We've got to keep things calm. Also, no yelling and screaming. Yelling and screaming is very stressful. Whistling is very stressful. I want to get people's mouths closed. What about the issue of hot shots and electric prodders? Get them out of your hand. You know, in most ranch situations, you can pretty well get rid of electric prods. Only place you might ever need one is a very stubborn animal that won't go in the squeeze chute. You pick it up, you use it, then you put it away. But get it out of your hand. Either use a flag or a paddle for your thing for your hand, and don't be doing this with it. You should just be doing like this with it. Got to calm down.
One of the best systems that's come along lately is what we call the bud box. The reason the bud box works so well is it works with all the principles of livestock behavior. You push cattle into a box, and then they want to get out, so they'll turn around and try to find a way out. And the way out just happens to be the lead up to the chute. And if the handler positions themselves properly, it makes it work real smooth and slick, and the animals follow each other up. Now, the main thing to remember is when you're taking cattle out of the bud box into the lead up to the chute, is always make sure the lead up is almost empty before you start cattle in from the bud box. The other thing we want to do, we want to get the cattle kind of snapping. We want them coming into the bud box fairly quickly, not ramming and jamming, but they want to be at a good clip. They'll do that, they'll come in and they'll come out the same way, and that'll cause that momentum to go right up to your chute. The cattle need to have plenty of room to turn around. So many times people put too many cattle in the bud box and they can't make that move to get turned around, and then everything gets slow and they get wedged in the corner. When we're bringing cattle from the box to the chute, it's real important we don't have too much activity up at the chute. And the person that's in charge of getting cattle to flow towards a chute, if they can think about going right straight by the cattle, going right by their eye, and coming from the front to the back, it causes the cattle to want to go right by them. That decreases the use of sticks, sort sticks, paddles, hot shots. When the cattle learn to flow by you, that's when they're really working for you.